are live with our guest there.
Hi.
Kelly, I will not butcher your last name. I'll let you say it.
Cole Matiki.
Exactly how I would have said it. Cole Matiki, right? Is that right?
Correct.
Cole Matiki. Now, everybody's, hold on, let me get to the comments. Oops, I blocked out my comment section here. I'm sure everybody's on saying hello. Hello, Laura Brown, Barbara, Monica, John. Oh, your mom's on. Hello, Barbara. How are you? Lou, Lindsay, hope you're feeling better. The other Laura, Brenda, how is everyone? So it is, what is today? Tuesday?
Yes.
Tuesday night, as promised. Look who's with me first. This person's feeling better, finally. Is able to join me, my co-host.
Yay.
Want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, everybody.
Very
John was the germmeister and passed it
Ah,
to me.
not true, not true at all. We were possessed by the demon at the person's house who's with us tonight. Yeah, we do not have COVID. We tested negative, so we are good. We were just had a bug for a week. I was fine yesterday. She started to feel a little better. She's not 100%, but too bad she has to do the interview. That's how things work. So again, joining us is Kelly. You guys probably have seen Kelly on the feed here many times. We talked to her. We referred to her. Kelly was actually on the cable access show too with the dreaded Cape episode. And if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. Go on YouTube and just type New Jersey Paranormal Haunted Cape. We're going to be getting back to that on Tuesday. I went through all of that footage. We'll get to that later. And holy cow. But anyway, Kelly, we've known Kelly for
A few years now.
It's been a while now, right?
I think 3 years I've known you guys.
Well, the weird thing about meeting Kelly was how I remember it. And again, my memory isn't the greatest, but I remember I had the Haunted Dolls that we did the cable access show on. And Donna's like, this woman, Kelly's here who bought your doll, and she's got your book, or I gave her a copy of the book. I don't remember. And, and I met her and I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't know at that point that you were the collector of as many objects that you had. I just figured, okay, you were someone who knew Donna, shopped at the store. You watched our stuff. But Kelly has been a big time advocate for us and a friend of ours and her mom for a while now. And, she's the one who pushes our merchandise. She's the one who promotes everything that we do. And, like I said, she's a good friend of ours, but that's not where the connection really is as far as the paranormal. Kelly, we saw for ourselves. She's got a lot of haunted objects in her home. I mean, a lot. And
God bless your mom.
I knew, yeah, your mom is a saint. And I knew that you collected, but I didn't realize how many that we were looking at there until we got in there. And I was just
we were taken back.
Everywhere you looked, it was like, again, the Red Room. It was like being in the Red Room.
Creeper Gallery number 2.
Creeper Gallery. So, let's start at the beginning. Take me back to where your interest in the paranormal and
why.
Well, yeah. Tell me about your interest in the paranormal first. We won't even get into the objects yet. Have you always been interested in spirits and?
Initially, I didn't believe in anything paranormal, like at all, until I bought my first object. I had an experience.
So before that. Nothing. You didn't really believe in spirits or ghosts. You didn't watch any of the shows.
I mean, you could send me into a wood, like the woods where they told me that there was like hellhounds, and I'd be like, all right, I'll go. Like, I just didn't believe in any of it at all.
Did you watch any of the shows? You watched
and I would make fun of them. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay. So what then?
The way that I was.
What then? Did you buy what possessed you to buy your first haunted object? Then was it just a feeling?
Well, sort of. So initially I started going into the Creeper Gallery, and this was before Donna had any kind of haunted things. And then she started to put haunted items out, and there was this little shoe, this little Victorian child shoe. And I would always go in there and look at it in the case, never buy it, walk out. One day Donna looks at me. I had never talked to her before. And she goes, "Do you want to hold it?" And I was like, yeah, like I want to hold it. And as soon as I picked the shoe up, I heard a child laugh. And that was it for me. I was like, I'm buying this.
Get out of here.
I remember she looked at me and she was like, "You're not bringing that in the house." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am."
Well, wait a minute. Did she hear it too, or you just heard it?
I think Donna had heard it too at the time. Yeah. And I took it home, and I think it was like 6 hours after having it in my house, I had my first real paranormal experience.
Cool.
I saw a little girl's shadow skipping across the wall, and it was the weirdest thing. It was almost like if you're in a car and you know, like how like you look out the window and like trees are going by. That was the kind of effect that it was, but you could clearly make out the shape of like a little girl.
And how long ago was this? 3-4 years ago, or
4 years ago?
So how old were you at that point?
I'm 25 now, so I was like 21.
Wow. So just you were going in there on a whim, you saw this object, and it just felt.
Oh,
like,
I would go out of my way to go in there to like look at the shoe. Like that's how like drawn I was to this shoe.
So you didn't buy it the first time?
No, it took me like, I think I was in there like 4 or 5 times looking at that shoe before I actually, Donna finally, like, she noticed that I was coming in there and she was like, "Do you want to hold it?" And I was like, "Yeah."
See, I know people like that too. A friend of mine, his name is Bob. Bob he's into the paranormal and he loves what we do. And I used to work with him, and he's visited the Creeper, I'd say 2 or 3 times. And every time he goes in there, he goes into the Red Room and he goes, "I want to buy something. I just don't know what I want to buy." And he's kind of like freaked out a little bit by like the thought of something, happening in his home. But yet he seems to have that desire. I don't know what else to call it.
He wanted that religious relic that you bought.
Yeah, the St. Anthony.
The St. Anthony. Yeah. He killed him when he found out you bought that.
So you got the shoe. You had an experience. Were you weren't freaked out at all? You weren't like, "I need to get this thing out of here"?
Oh no, I was terrified, but I was like, you know what? Like, let's keep it and let's see what happens. And I had other things happen. Like I would hear like, like child laughing, and it freaked me out. Like initially, like I was pretty freaked out about it. And after a while, I kind of started to almost care about the child. Like I would talk to her and stuff like that. So after a while, I stopped being afraid. And that's not to say like even now, like there's stuff that happens that freaks me out. But I think over time I kind of just learned that, even though they're not physically here, they're still people. You can still communicate and, make your point known to them to kind of, live in peace with them. So that's kind of what I learned to do. And that's what I did with the shoe. And,
so you weren't the type of person, who was like, because I know like people have this idea a lot of times where I need to cross this person over. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, even with buildings or items and stuff, you had it in your home and your feeling was, okay, there's this child attached to this, just like you said, you formed like a bond. It was sort of there, and you would talk to whoever. You ever get an idea of a name or who, or did Donna have any of that information? Or
no, and I've never taken that item to a medium or anything like that, so I have no idea. Like I said, I do still talk to her. You
never took that to Ara? I mean,
nope.
Armand?
Nope.
Just because you didn't?
I haven't gotten to it because I got 48 objects in here, so there's some that take priority, I think, over a shoe.
So that item, how long before you bought? Well, first of all, let me ask you too. I know your mom. Your mom is pretty even keel.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your mom. Like she's like, I don't know. She's like one of these people that has she always been that way? Is she like just calm and mellow?
Oh
and
yeah.
She doesn't seem like easily like flustered. Yeah.
That kind of person.
No, I mean, she's freaked out. Like, I actually posted a video the other day, and it was like a conversation that a mom and daughter had about like spirits. And I was like, that's me and my mom. Like, we'll text each other, like, "Did you hear that?" Like in the hallway. And she's like, "I'm not going out there."
So did you tell her you were buying that first object?
Oh yeah, she was with me, and she was so like disturbed. She's like, "That's not going upstairs. That's not going anywhere near my room."
So did she see or witness any of the things that were going on initially?
She saw the little shadow go across the wall.
But she didn't say like, "Get that out, take it back."
Huh? Oh no, she did. She was like, "Yeah, you're taking that back to her. Like that's it." And I didn't, obviously, because I was like, "No, like I'm curious." So
how long before you bought your second
So my second object is a funny story. It's the only item I've ever returned to Donna.
Oh.
It wasn't even a haunted object. It was like a little voodoo doll that she had hanging on like a while ago. She had like a rack in there where she would like hang things, and there was like this little voodoo doll, and I was drawn to it. She gave it to me for $25, and I took it home. I didn't think that it was haunted, but every time I would hold it, I would feel like my energy was being drained out of my body, and I'd get extremely tired.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened to my mom, and it happened to anybody who came into my house that touched it. So I ended up putting it in a dome, and my mom was like, let me put a bell on the dome. So she puts a bell on the dome, and we heard the bell go off in the middle of the night.
Shoot.
And I ended up returning that item back to the Creeper Gallery. And some woman actually stopped me in the Creeper Gallery and was talking to me about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm the one that returned that. And she said that it went missing from her house. She doesn't even know what happened to it. It just disappeared.
Oh, my God. And that's the thing, too, man. You really, you know, and we talk about this all the time. I mean, you know, if you believe items can be quote unquote haunted or have attachments, just like hauntings of a building or anything, good people, bad people, good spirits, not so good spirits, you know, you got to know what you're getting into a little bit, you know, when you take that responsibility of bringing an item into your home. And you know what is cool too about you, and we talked about this before, the mentality surrounding once you get the item, you do have that caretaker mentality like Donna.
Yeah, I have a quote that I actually really enjoy that goes along with that, and it's you know, an item that belongs to the dead that is still, you know, has an attachment to it can no longer be bought or sold by the living. So basically, I take these objects, yeah, I pay for them, but they're not mine. I'm just taking care of them. They still belong to whoever's attached. And I treat them with that same respect when I have them in my house. They're not my item. It's still whoever is attached to it. And that's kind of always something that is always in the back of my mind when I do buy an object or I feel drawn to something, is I always think about, all right, well, the person that's attached to this needs to know that I'm not here to harm them. You know, I'm just taking care of the item the same way that they would have wanted it taken care of if they
I want to bring up something too.
Wait, but before you do that, they're saying they're getting feedback. I'm going to probably try to plug in the headphones and see if, because they said they're getting it on your end. It may be our voice coming through and just
cutting it out.
So I'm going to try,
They're
give me
hooked up.
1 minute to plug in my headphones and reset here a little bit.
And then I want to hit her with that question.
You got to hit her with something?
Yep, I'm going to hit her.
Do you have the, okay. You hear it?
Is that any
something.
better? Can you hear us, Kelly?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right.
Everybody's going to have to tell us if this works. But the one thing I want to bring up with you, Kelly, and I think it's kind of important when we talk about bringing in haunted items into the home and the different, you bring in dark stuff and stuff that's lighter and just spirits, like you say, you take care of. But you and your mom also practice something that I think is very important. You're not just willy-nilly bringing in haunted items. And if you could share that as much as you want with everybody on here.
So I was raised pagan. My mom is pagan. My grandma was pagan. Mostly my whole family, you know, we all practiced, you know, being pagan. And that was always like a major thing, was always protection. And, you know, I do have protection altars up. I have a protection thing right in front of the front door, right above it. I have protection things in both my mom's bedroom, my bedroom. There are barriers that I put up because I don't want those negative things in certain areas of my house. They are contained to one area, and I prefer it that way. Mostly because of, if people did watch my cape thing, I was, you know, physically attacked before I put those altars up. They do work, in my opinion. I just feel like if you are going to bring something into your house, you need to protect yourself because you don't know. John's shaking his head. You like that?
No, the reason, but you're right about that, and you're right on many different levels. just like people, because we are talking about people, they may react to different people different ways. Just because they were friendly and nice at the Creeper Gallery or from their previous owner, maybe you're not going to get that same reaction because you're not that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything is possible. So you're like, you do have to kind of feel out the situation and treat them with respect. We talked about that too.
And know that it can be dangerous. And,
Yeah,
Kelly and her mom are aware of this.
Absolutely. And like I always tell people, like there's been a couple of times I've been in the Creeper Gallery and somebody will go in the red room and they'll feel drawn to something. And I always tell people, if you feel drawn to it, you should, ask to hold it just to see, because a lot of times what I noticed is I'll feel drawn to something on an emotional level. So I'll almost feel the emotions of what is attached to that. And a lot of times it's almost as if it is kind of asking me for help. So I take those items home because I feel like they need my help. And I actually spoke to Judy Kay at one of your events about this because I was very like, I don't know what it's called. Like, I don't know. And she told me I was clairsentient, which is so weird because I've never heard that. And I remember I went home after that event and I was like Googling it. And it did fit a lot of what I feel when I do come across an object that I feel drawn to. Like Big Joe, for example, I had the weirdest reaction to his mask. I've never had that reaction before. I just started crying.
Mm.
And it was so weird because I wasn't crying, but tears were coming out of my eyes. Like I could feel his pain. And that was kind of like what set me off. And I was like, yeah, he has to come home. Like he has to come home with me.
So Big Joe, for those of you who don't know, who didn't watch, that it's a miner's mask that Donna had at the Creeper Gallery. And supposedly the miner died wearing it. There was some kind of accident, so Kelly bought that one. She purchased that one too.
Does that miner?
But isn't that like being an empath though? Isn't that more than?
Empath is more. I guess you could clairsentient could be considered empath, but I think empath stops at the living. So you could feel like if you got upset and you weren't saying it, like I could feel that, right? But when there's somebody that's deceased and there's like an energy, you can feel that energy shift and you can feel that exact energy reflected back onto yourself.
But wouldn't that make you more cautious towards buying something that is potentially dark?
And that's what I've been told by a lot of people. That I need to be
but
very
you haven't
careful.
Listened, have
and
you?
I have been careful. I have felt drawn to dark things in Donna's shop. The sensors were one of those things. I did have the sensors for a week. I don't plan on taking them home ever, just because I don't want negative spirits. I prefer like children's spirits or like.
Wait, you had them? You purchased them?
No, I didn't. I had them for a week. I took them to a medium for Donna, and I had them in my house for a week, and it was just.
Yeah, that's bad juju.
Yeah,
there's definitely, absolutely. I don't know what you want to call it, negative energy, whatever.
I actually kept them in the garage because
there is bad juju, and bad juju is that cape for sure, that cursed box for sure, the sensors and the Ouija board. We didn't really get to.
No, that's
right. We're gonna talk about the investigation. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. But
yeah, I'm sitting in the haunted chair.
Yeah. I got enough of the cape to even touch that Ouija board. That was enough of a beating that I took. So, but that's the thing too. If somebody told me that I was more sensitive, in tune, empathic, if that's a word, towards spirits and attachments, I really wouldn't delve into the dark, because you're asking for trouble. I know. If you open that door, it could be good, it could be bad. Mm-hmm. And you're taking that chance in your own home. And Barbara, you are a saint, Barbara, by the way. If I haven't said it, you are. Because you've had dark experiences. I mean, talk about the cape. What happened to you when you took that cape home?
So I think it was like within like the first week I had made the plan to take it to a medium, and it was the night before I took it to the medium. I had a reaction where my whole arm started to hurt really bad, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I was like gasping, and I ran to my mom and I told her I needed to go to the hospital. And I thought I was having an allergic reaction. And she was like, okay. And we walked downstairs, went outside, and it completely stopped. The next day when I went to the medium, he brought it up And he was like, that was her choking you. And I've seen her in my room before and things like that. So it wasn't like totally a shock to me, but like I was like, wow, she like actually physically harmed me. Like that's extreme.
I would love to, like, you know how Amy Allen does that? Like, she gets that dude to sketch out.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to see what she looks like through your eyes and what you've seen.
I was
Because
actually going to have somebody draw her up.
you
for
should
me.
try, because I mean, I have a vision, like this vision I get of her in my head is like Mrs. Frankenstein with the like the white in the hair and the bun thing. But I'm sure I'm way off. It's just my own vision. But is she intimidating looking, or does she look like just
She's
an older
short.
woman?
She was short from what I saw when I did see her. She's short. She has like shortish hair, and I remember her hair being like a burgundy color, which was odd to me. And she doesn't look nice. Like her face just looks very stoic and cold, and just not friendly, I guess you could say. And like I said, I was gonna have somebody draw her up, and I actually thought about getting it tattooed, but I decided to not do that.
You should get it drawn though. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Let's again, just a brief overview here. Do you know how many items you have now?
48, and then I have one on hold at the Creeper Gallery.
Oh my Lord, 48.
Yes.
And they run the gambit from just, go ahead, random, just, some of the more memorable and notable ones that you think of.
Well, obviously the cape. I have the glass negative, portal mirror. I have the little boy bones, obviously. Those should.
Well, what about the chair? Tell them about the chair.
Yeah, I have this chair that Donna's lovely husband delivered to me during quarantine. He dropped it off in my garage. As soon as she posted the picture, I was like, I don't know him, but I love him. So this belonged to obviously an old man, and this was his chair, and his name's Abe. And I've had a couple of experiences with Abe, nothing negative. I've heard him adjust himself in the chair, and he loves my cat. Actually, my cat is so mad at me right now because I'm sitting in this chair and she can't come over here. But yeah, so orbs definitely coming out of the chair, which is creepy. I always wanted a haunted chair too.
That's
my
so
corner.
Cool. Honestly, I would.
Yeah, so really cool. Yeah, this was, I think this is probably the biggest piece I have. Yeah. But yeah.
So what's the plan here? You're going to expand you're going to keep buying no matter.
I'm trying to chill out because I think I need to calm down a little bit. That Donna, was one thing that Judy K did.
I didn't tell her to do that, Donna.
That was one thing that Judy K did say to me. She told me I need to like learn to control what I feel because I will be overwhelmed. 48 objects, that's kind of a lot. So,
well, it was kind of cool, and I don't want to get too far into this either, but the medium that you take your objects to, and I don't know why I'm doing that with my flashlight.
I don't know either.
The medium that you take your objects to, Armand, I met him, I interacted with him, and he brought up something that I never really thought about, and that's what I talk about in this field, about meeting people and hearing new ideas and new theories, and kind of like, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Armand was saying how maybe in some cases the spirits aren't attached to the object, but if you keep calling to the memory and reliving the emotions that were attached to whatever happened to that, object where someone was murdered or drowned or whatever, you can, in theory, bring the spirit in, even if it wasn't there before. I thought that was really, really kind of profound and cool. And, let's face it, Donna has these things. She puts a card. She talks about them. We go in there and we go and do what we do. So, yeah, it kind of reinforces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're talking to these objects and interacting with them in your home, you really do run the risk in some circumstances of feeding the beast. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's why protection is so important, because it could get out of hand. Honestly, you could get hurt.
Yep, I know. And
But I like your gentle spirits that you have there, like the
yeah,
little boy.
I have a
and
couple of favorites that are, in here. I've grown to really adore the little boy Bones. I just think that he's such a sweet, like, just happy spirit. And obviously Anne, which that's another one that's just, she's great.
yeah, I got to know Anne. I like
Well,
Anne.
Yeah,
we're gonna
that's
talk
that's
about
my
that
mom's
Thursday.
favorite too. So, I mean, I have some good ones. I think I have more good ones than I do bad. So that's good, I think.
But we Thursday we're going to get into more of the investigation. I have the clips. I just need to cut them, and that's when we're really going to get into the ands and the
What happened?
especially the things that we worked with. And I don't want to get too far into it, but it was definitely, again, watching those clips again, I didn't realize there was as much, because I was talking about this the other night. You get caught up in the moment from your perspective, what's going on, that when I watched the video of everyone filming and what was going on, there was a lot of here and there stuff going on.
Yeah.
Not with just the cape, but I mean, so it was. And this is one of the things I talk about too, why it's so interesting to talk to someone like you, because like you go into the Creeper Gallery, you don't live in the Creeper Gallery. You live in the Creeper Gallery. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of person that would,
Mm-hmm.
And
obviously, I have Donna's art too. So like,
yeah,
that's kind of, my house basically is becoming a second Creeper Gallery.
But that's like building your home in the cemetery. Like people wouldn't want to spend the night in the cemetery. She's got a house there. She lives there. It's such a bizarre thing. So as these items were building up, did Barbara ever say, hey, okay, enough?
Actually, last time I went to the Creeper Gallery, which was not last Sunday, but the Sunday before that, before I left, she looked at me and she goes, "Don't go crazy." And I was like, okay. I came home with like a church kneeler, like another haunted object. I put one on hold. Like, it's hard for me because when I walk in there, like I said, I know what needs help and what belongs with me and what doesn't. And it's just like I bought that. I don't know if you remember the Aliska doll from The Murder.
Oh,
my friend Megan felt drawn to that, so I had bought it for her as a gift. And I had it in my house for a week, and I knew it didn't belong there. The feeling that I was getting off of it was so uncomfortable that I actually texted her. And I was like, you need to come get this. Like, it doesn't belong here. She drove all the way here, and I gave it to her, and I was like, thank God that this is out of my house because it doesn't belong here. So I know when something belongs with me and when something doesn't. So like I'll go in like the red room and like I'll feel drawn over to something and I'll look at it and I'll be like, I think that this needs to come home with me. And I'll sit there and I'll look at it again and I'll be like, yeah, like there's something, calling me from it. And I end up either telling Donna I'll take it, put it on hold, or she lets me take it home same day. Depends.
Without getting into details and stuff like that, do you feel, having collected haunted items and being more in touch with the paranormal like you are on a daily basis, and not just visiting like some people do, and living it every day, do you think that in any way that it has caused things to happen in your life, maybe negative or positive?
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, I do. I've had moments where I've taken something home and I'll have like the worst luck. Like it's just one bad thing after another that happens to me. And I think that's another thing why you need to protect yourself, because those energies, like a lot of people don't understand that the paranormal just isn't, seeing a shadow in a corner. It can affect you emotionally and it can mess with your day-to-day life.
And physically.
And I think that needs to be like something that people understand before they do go and they're like, oh, let me purchase a haunted object. Like you need to know that, all right, you might not hear a knock or you might not see something in the corner. It could be emotional. Or it could be, your life could just go downhill in a week. You don't know. And I think that's another thing that I wasn't fully aware of when I first started collecting. And then over time, I was like, all right, so this can happen. I need to be careful. And that's when I started putting up protection altars and I started really taking like protecting myself seriously. And obviously a lot of it is communicating with them too. Like every time I bring an item home, I literally will sit there and talk to them for an hour and let them know that, this is a safe haven. You're allowed here. You will not do this. You're allowed to walk around.
You know what that reminds me of? You know that I hate to cut you
me.
off, but do you ever see the movie Turner and Hooch?
No,
Tom
actually,
Hanks,
I haven't.
where he gets that dog, and the dog is like it's from a junkyard, and it's a monster. And he brings it to his apartment. The dog's all dirty, and he walks the dog around, and he's like, "You will not chew. You will not drool. This is not your
That's
room."
basically how it is, though. Like, and that's another thing. Like, I wake up in the morning, I say hi to all of them before I go to bed. I say good night. Like, little things like that honestly make such a difference, I think, in the level of activity, that it's almost insane, because I know that they can hear me, and I know that they understand what I'm saying to them, and I know that they understand that this is a safe haven. And some of the darker objects tried to take advantage of that when I first got them, and then I think over time they kind of realized, like, oh, she's here to take care of us, not to harm us. And you know, obviously people are going to see the clips. They're going to see that I do have a connection with these objects, and that connection is there, and that they do look to me for.
And you've had some really bad physical things happen to you while you were adjusting to that relationship where you were actually being attacked.
I've had things thrown at me. I've had objects like thrown off the wall at me. I've had my house poltergeisted. I've had, you know, horrible dreams. I've, you know, gotten injured from like little things that I shouldn't have gotten injured from. I've gotten
choked.
Yeah, I've been choked. I've gotten sick. I mean, the list is pretty long, and a lot of people think I'm insane for still taking objects home after that. But like I said, it's more so I feel called to do it. It's not, you know, that I'm just like, yeah, like this thing came whipping at my head, let me go buy another. Like, that's not, you know.
See, but that's a really interesting point too, because again, you look at overall big picture, how things work and why they work, and are there any coincidences, or, you know, you went into that store one day for whatever reason the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you went back and whatever, and here we are years later, and you have all of these items that belong to other people that kept them for whatever reason, or things happened to the people that wore them or owned them. And again, that caretaker mentality. Donna and you were like that.
I say Donna's like my second mom. Because
yeah, and it's weird because we met one other person, that Stacy Sabo, who I don't know what happened to. She collected religious artifacts, but she was the same way. I would look at something, it would feel an attachment, and I just felt like I had to be like the next caretaker and bring it home and add that energy to my own. It's like a weird, I don't know, like
it is weird, and I think
I get that on some level.
Feel it.
But I get that on some level. But are there things that, without protection, that you're afraid of in your home?
I'm afraid of the cape.
Is that the only thing?
Looking
around, she's gonna take inventory.
Oh yeah,
man, the candle. That was awesome. I have that spirit box session, and
I'm terrified of him. Actually, I don't like him at all. He is not.
Do you think that's what I ran into that night?
Well,
no, we're not going to talk about it. Do you think that's who it was?
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, I got to ask you. Yeah, you have protection against these things, but why keep them?
I feel like, you know, I bring them into the house and I give them a safe haven, and, you know, I like to think I know what I'm doing and I'm able to protect myself. It's better that I have them than just being stuck somewhere, or, you know, going with somebody who might not be able to handle it. Or if they get harmed, you know, what if it's worse than what was done to me? I actually just heard a knock in my kitchen. So somebody's listening to you guys talk to me.
You know who it is.
Oh yeah, she's right next to me.
Back off.
She's waiting. No.
I don't need that to happen again.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it really comes down to, I feel responsible for them now. You know, and I think that they're in the best possible place that they can be when they are with me. And I do work with them, like I said. So
is it like family now?
Kind of, yeah. It's my big spirit family.
There's good family and there's bad family members.
Beings.
Now, what about people that come over, like friends and stuff? What do
I've
they
had
think
people
of
leave. Leave my house. I've had things happen to friends. I mean, Lonnie, for example, my best friend. He's always here. he watched the Ouija board come off the wall and whip at my head like a frisbee, and he looked at me, he goes, I don't like that. Like
Whoa.
he's seen some crazy stuff happen in my house. He's gone home with like massive headaches. I've had people feel like they've been touched in my house, and I started warning people like I do have haunted objects in my house, so if you're uncomfortable with that, like don't come in. We'll just sit at the door, like it's okay.
What about your mom? What about does her friends come over and are they
No.
like what the?
Oh no.
Because I can imagine like someone like your mom's, you know, older. She's like
Would you
our
like to
age,
come
but
over
I
and
mean,
have a spot of tea and coffee
Yeah,
with our
like,
little
don't
We have
pay
to
it.
have it outside
I'm
though.
gonna pull this curtain to separate this. Yeah, we're doing construction over on that end. Don't look over there. I mean, it really is like, you know, like we interviewed a woman who lives around the corner from us. She lives in a house that's haunted, and she felt like she had to buy it and live there, and now she feels like the caretaker of that. It's a weird thing. Like the only thing you could kind of compare it to, and this is a really loose comparison, is like parasitic. Is that the word? Like an attachment of an
yeah.
attachment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all these things
Mhm.
are now like, you know, your energy has mixed with theirs. So now you have
Bloodsucker.
I'm not even saying that. It could be
Yes.
good energy. There could be good energy flowing through there
Absolutely.
too, you know? But
Yeah.
you know, but again, I always wonder, do you worry about the bad ones mixing with the good ones? Because from what I saw when I was there, that cape is literally 7 feet from that poor little boy that is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Do you feel
So-
like there could ever be any cross?
Yes, to an extent. And my thing is when I place my items where they are, I mean, you could put them in a cabinet. It doesn't do anything. They're going to go right through that cabinet, right? So I do try to keep like the good objects off to the one side, and then I put like the negative ones on another side. I actually used to have the little boy bones and the cape like directly next to each other.
That's not
And I was actually talking to the little boy the one day, and I had cat ball out, and I was like, do you not like being next to her? And all of a sudden the cat ball
Yeah.
started going off, because I'm pretty sure that he probably knows. So I ended up moving him. I bought a whole nother shelf and I moved him over there, and he just started lighting up the cat ball like he was happy. So, I mean, I do worry about it, and I'm like, you know, what if I get another child spirit and she doesn't like it? Or like, you know, like I do.
I mean,
think
let's face
about
it,
that.
she killed her kids. I mean,
Yeah.
we know that.
Yeah, it has worried me, and it does
I
cross
mean,
my mind. I'm not
you
gonna
know?
lie, but I mean, at the same time, it's just like, you know, you were saying, Armand said, you know, some of these objects that are good, you know, they come when they're called upon.
Yeah.
You know, they're able to leave. But unfortunately, people like, you know, Miss Victoria over here, I believe that she's stuck because that's
Yeah.
what she deserves.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to go anywhere.
No. It is like a purgatory of
Mhm.
some kind. She
And she doesn't want to. She's
Yeah.
content with where she is.
well, I mean,
That's
and
unfortunate.
we've
for her.
dealt with this with other objects, and especially bad things. Let's think about it logically. If I believed in heaven and God and being, you know, the afterlife, heaven and hell, at some point you have to believe you're going to be judged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you kill people, children especially, aren't you going to be afraid of that happening? So why would you go towards any light or afterlife if you think there's a chance you're going to go to hell? Hell no. You're going to stay here and
Absolutely.
be the same miserable, evil cuss you were before, you know? And somebody will buy you and take you home. And
Somebody named Kelly.
You can all start bidding on John now.
so people are asking, what is the item on hold that you?
That little heart box that you guys looked at that has the
Oh.
cracked mirror
I
inside
love
with
that.
the note
Oh
on
wait,
the
is that the? Oh, that one was cool. That's got a weird energy
yeah,
attached
but
to it.
it felt positive to me.
Yes.
It felt
Yes.
very positive to me, and I got a very loving vibe off of it, and that's kind of what I want in my house. So I just
Okay.
It vibrates. When you touched it, did you feel like it
And that wood
vibrates?
is always cold, always cold.
It just
which was
seems to
weird.
have like
And
that
you feel
vibration.
Donna's like, hold this box. What do you feel? And I'm like, I feel cold up on my chest and on my back, across my shoulders. She goes, exactly what I felt.
Yep.
And it was like, it's cool when that happens because it's that, you know, instant validation. you know?
Yeah, that's a sweetheart. That's a sweetheart gift. You could just tell that it holds a lot of
Love.
that positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get feel I'm not like them. Like I don't go to, you know me, I stay away from like what that thing, that box I was immediately drawn to. And when we were talking, I had my hand on, I was like, oh my God, it's vibrating. Does anybody feel this? It's like, it was like really cool.
But
Yeah.
so we did, just again for a future, Thursday night. You're available, right, Kelly, for
Yeah,
that?
of course.
Thursday night, I am clipping all the clips from the investigation that we did a couple of weeks ago now, and Kelly will be back on, and you'll see us talking like this. But then, as we discuss certain things, I'll be able to now pop up the clip so you could see what was going on when we were there, and we'll be doing that Thursday night at 8 o'clock. There's a lot. I got to cut a lot. There was more than I thought there was, and some of it wasn't caught with the camera, but you hear what we're experiencing there. And I wish I could even tease it and give it justice because, you know, it was definitely
Unexpected.
I am not a person who there hasn't been one object where I would ever tell you I don't want to be around it again. I mean, you name it, the Ouija board, whatever. But that cape, I know, has it out for me in a big way, and I will not. I don't want to be around that thing ever again, really. And if it was, I would love to. Did you? You did take that to Armand or no?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
Armand, you did. And I think you sent me and he was pretty spot on with that.
Yeah,
one
and
too.
I have the full reading actually. I think it's on my Facebook. I made it public because people always ask me about it. So,
but again, it's things like that I could see people buying the bones, the shoes, the flowers, and but when it comes to the candlestick and the cape, and like, what's the feeling when you're walking in there and you read the card and it says was used in a triple murder and it's supposed to be haunted by the man who killed everybody.
So the cape, right? I
Okay.
saw the cape before Donna really knew anything about it. She knew that it was haunted. And I was there the day that she brought it in and took it out of its wrapping paper. And immediately I was like, okay, like, I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm like drawn to it. And I let it sit there for a long time before I actually decided that I was going to take it home. It was something that I really did think about before taking it into my house after knowing what she did. And obviously after seeing what it did to you. And honestly, my impression was, well, I'm not a man and I don't look like her husband, so maybe she won't do anything to me. And I was obviously very wrong. My feeling was just like she had something to say and had, you know, some kind of message that she wanted to get across. So when I, you know, kept looking at it and I kept getting that feeling, that was just finally, I was like, all right, you know, like, let's see what happens. And same thing with the candle holder. I don't even know. I remember just going in there and I wasn't even going to buy it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? I'll take it. And I ended up taking that home. And that's a whole like story in itself, that candle thing. I mean, I took that to Armand too. And that was the freakiest thing. I mean, the man that's attached to that literally led Armand completely, like reenacted the murder. Like he saw the entire murder take place. He described what the house looked like, everything.
Wow.
It was really freaky. And I walked out of there and I was like, oh my God.
See, but aren't you worried? Like, if that were me, okay, like, you know, again, maybe this is Hollywood or Dead File-ish or whatever. I would worry that, is it possible, especially if you have, like you said, some kind of sensitivity to stuff, I would worry about the influence of something like that. You know what I mean? Is it influencing me to buy it, to get into my home, to now, like you said, poltergeist activity? Or aren't you worried that, like, hey, maybe this is some kind of trickster spirit, evil, negative guy who's tricking me into taking this thing home so it could really F me up?
And I think this is kind of like where Chris talks about, you know, putting your intent into the world. I think if you're mentally, you know, your intent is not to be taken over by a trickster spirit and not to have, you know, something influence you, and you have that type of protection, or you have that type of mindset, it's not going to happen. And it hasn't happened to me so far. And I'm going to continue to have that mindset. Like it's energy. That's
And
really what it is.
you're not
if I don't let that energy affect me that way, then it's not going to take me over.
And I want to reiterate this. You are not irresponsible about this.
No, I never said she was.
No. I want that for everyone that's
absolutely
watching this to know this about you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm very responsible. And, I do have an item that, did take over my mom. I've had that happen, and it's not fun. It's not a good experience. And, like I said, when you do buy something, you need to know what you are buying, and you need to protect yourself.
What item was that again? You told us that story.
I have a second cape. It's a little boy's riding cape. I actually did not get that from the Creeper Gallery. It was fully disclosed to me about how it affected the prior owner's mother. My mom didn't know, so she went and picked it up because there is blood on it. She wanted to see it, and I didn't tell my mom initially because I had just gotten it, so she went and touched it. My mom was a completely different person for an entire week.
Oh, my God.
Like a completely different person for an entire week. That was not my mom. So
and it can do that to you. I mean, I know for sure that you can be physically, your health, your attitude, your mood, all of that can be affected by spirit.
One of those Ouija boards, not the one you have. He was a nasty bear.
I wanted to break that.
Not only that, but driving home with him, he was rude. He was obnoxious. He was just, even when we were in the gallery and he was doing it more so than normal, he was just very aggressive and just very like, and I wanted to bop him over the head, like, knock it off. And it took him a while for that to switch off and for him to come back.
Yeah. But again, I'm not, again, doing what I do. And I'll be honest with you. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I don't believe in protection. I just don't. I want to experience everything to the 10th degree.
That's totally understandable because obviously you want.
Although one of your objects did make me do a drum solo. It wasn't on camera. That's a Zach Baggins joke, by the way. I should have done that, but I didn't.
That's how we should have ended the whole thing.
The Dibbing spots made him do a drum solo on the glass. That's how it affected him. But that's, again, your overall attitude. Again, you're intelligent. You've got very good insight and great attitude. But I do worry, honestly, that potentially you or your mom could come across something that you've never seen before. Yeah. I don't believe that there's a protection for everything. I really don't.
That's where I draw the line. Cursed objects. I'm not taking home a cursed object. I had somebody offer me for free. She had a cursed Bible, and I was interested about it, and I just kind of asked her what happened. Everybody that's owned it has died.
Oh no.
And I was like, I'm gonna pass. Like, I don't do cursed items. And she ended up selling it to somebody, and they actually died.
Oh my God.
And
so you never once considered buying the cursed box?
Nope.
She's not crazy like you and Tanya. See, I hope they never, he talks about, like being worried about you and stuff. That's how I feel about with him and Tanya when they do things and they say things. You saw me at the house. I draw back when they go to that darker stuff. I want nothing to do with even the stuff you have that is on a milder side, if you want to call it that. It still can affect you. And for me, it's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And it's because I was traumatized younger from darker stuff. So I don't go towards that.
I'll tell you what happened. They forced me to sit in that dead guy chair with the cape just because they all wanted to see what would happen to me. And I didn't have much of a choice. Everybody raised their hand, they voted, and I had to do it. And I suffered because of it. Which
I think you missed Victoria. You needed.
You know what? There is a weird connection there.
Yes, there is.
I'm not going to lie about that either, because I feel when I hold that cape, I feel it immediately, and I've never felt. This is going to sound weird. I've never felt that with another object, where I automatically feel like the connection, and physically I start to feel cold on my leg and my arm and other things. It's like that, and
Yeah.
it doesn't take long at all. And I've never had that with any other object. That object scares me. It really does.
And it should,
Yeah, well,
because it affects you.
Yeah.
And you can't control it.
I wouldn't have that in my house for nothing. But
But
that's
you
me.
see the connection that she has with Victoria. They have an understanding. It's woman to
Yeah,
woman.
you're gonna act right. You can live here, but you're gonna act right.
Right.
And you know, I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out at her the one day, and it was like shortly after I got choked. Like I probably looked crazy, but I actually screamed at her, and I was like, you know, I let you live here. You're not gonna act this way. You're not gonna attack me. Like, no, you have no control over me. And after that, she did settle down. And that's not to say like all the activities stopped, but she did not harm me. And then like I put up protection altars and like it really died down. And you know, before you guys came, I took those altars down and that scared me. Like, she's gonna attack me? Like I don't know what's gonna happen. And you know,
So let's talk. Well, we can get into that tomorrow, Thursday, if anything happened when we left, because we didn't know.
Oh.
We just didn't feel well, you know, the next day. And again, everybody asked me the same thing. Tanya, first thing she said to me, you know, you sure it wasn't that? And it was like, I thought it was COVID because again, the headache, the body ache, and everything, and
Mhm.
you don't know. That's the problem. You don't know.
You
These
don't.
are unseen, you know, things that are going on in that magnitude with that many objects. And we scratched the surface. We were like doing a general investigation where one or two or three or four of the objects, but you know, right away, the things that are strong enough, and it's usually the bad ones, they make themselves known always. And we saw that night. The ones that you talk about that you don't really, they come
They
forward.
didn't take long,
They
that's
just
for
bam.
sure.
Here we are.
Front and
And they
center.
are more powerful, I think, than the you know, child spirit or a little girl or
Oh,
a
yeah.
boy who
Absolutely.
died, you know, horrible, you know.
Anne's got
Brown.
some strength, though.
What?
Oh
Anne's
yeah.
got some strength.
She's like one of those that'll like she'll come out when you know stuff is popping off. She'll be like, "Yep, I'm here to protect you." She's a protective spirit, and I actually got her the same day I got the candlestick.
Really?
Yeah, and I noticed that you know she was super active when I first got her, and like that candlestick was active, and I noticed it was almost like she was trying to protect me, and she quickly became one of my favorite objects that I own because of that. Like I know that she's like a protective energy, and like she doesn't like to be messed with, and that's why you know I know that you guys have talked about it, but like a lot of times people will ask the question, do you think that they can interact with each other if they're from different time periods? I do. I
Yeah,
honestly do think that they can interact with each other, and she's one of them. She does not take any kind of nastiness from anyone.
Here's the thing, too. Now, again, I wonder always about the psychological aspects of everything related to the paranormal. If you are someone who, whatever, Judy, what was that? What did Judy say it was?
Clairsentient.
Okay. If that's whatever you have, don't you worry that almost, again, this is a loose analogy, like a person who's addicted to smoking or whatever, that you're an easy mark for all of these spirits. When you enter the creeper gallery, because you're tuned the way you are, they're gonna make a connection somehow, some way. So it is like an addiction of some kind. You know what I mean? For you and for it's like I said, a way station. Like they pick up on you, you're picking up their vibes, and this is something that I don't think you're gonna lose unless like you develop some way, almost like a medium, to shut that off when you want to. You know what I mean? And you should look into that.
That's what Judy Kay said to me. She's like, you need to learn how to like, you know.
Donna, I didn't tell her to do that, by the way. Not now. I meant like years from now, Donna. When you're like close the store and you're gone. Donna's gonna kill me.
A house so I have more room.
But that's what I honestly I wonder. I wonder if you know there is a way for you to kind of limit that and close that off and learn how to do that.
Yeah, and you know, obviously I'm still learning about it, and I'm still, you know, kind of doing research about that. And obviously, you know, I'm trying to connect with other people that, you know, have more of, because obviously I've never been told that before. had no idea anything about it.
Sounds true though. I mean, really, I mean, you think about it in
Yeah.
terms of why would someone do what you do and
Yeah.
feel the way you feel.
Mhm.
There's got to be some kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like synergy between you and these objects.
Or I'm just insane.
I didn't want to say that, but that could be true too.
Well, I put you pretty close on that category with John and Tanya. Yes.
We're not even that. We won't bring them home. We don't take our work home with us.
Oh,
we
if I
leave
weren't
it.
here,
We leave it right there.
listen, he carried that
Hey,
doll.
where's that doll?
Yeah, but how long was it in your trunk? In
And
your car?
she looks so happy sitting on top of the shelf. She's hanging out of it, and she got a big smile on her face. And
Doesn't she? Yeah, she just
I
looked
felt, you know how good that made me
She
feel.
does.
I'm not lying.
really.
It
It
made
did.
me feel so good to look at that doll,
Yeah.
and know that, you know, I
Got a good
put it in
home.
a trunk in my car
Yeah,
for
she's not in a
year.
trunk anymore.
I mean, and looking at her, she just looked at home, right? I mean, it was
Yeah.
so weird. Like
It's
you could
it was
see
a
it.
change
That's what I'm
of
telling you. Like when
change
I,
of energy.
I thought that was Donna's doll. I didn't know that that was your doll.
Yeah.
And like I went on the live late, and I was like, I feel like that doll needs help.
Oh, she definitely took the chance. Like, oh my God, he let me out. Please, somebody take.
Yeah, so I
I'll
was
show
like,
you everything I
I
got.
went there, and obviously I took her home, and I do think that she's happier.
Yeah,
in
much
here.
happier.
And
That must be good.
have you seen like we talk about the activity dying down or whatever, but have you seen like an energy change to a more positive energy from something that might have been a little bit negative because you've opened up and
The Ouija board. The Ouija
Yeah.
board. I mean, she still throws stuff, but as long as she doesn't like being on the ground. When I first got her, like you could feel the negativity coming off of her. Like it was bad. And I do think it's just a woman attached to it. I don't think it's anything demonic. But she's just mean. And I've talked to her, and it seems like she's a little less angry now, as long as I'm respectful. Like if I put her on the ground, that's it. Like my living room's poltergeisted, my kitchen, she's throwing things. Like it's happened, and it's freaked me out. And like I get mad at her. And like the night that you guys came here, I had her on the ground. I completely forgot that she was on the ground, and that was like big mistake, huge. I just put her back up because it was just I couldn't take it anymore. And then I was like, oh my God, she's on the ground. No wonder why she's so angry.
And
respected her.
Throughout history, people have confused demons with women, and
Oh my God, John.
it makes sense how you would.
Salem witch trials, right?
Listen, he's going to be joining Victoria in the afterlife. They'll be together.
I'm still willing to do that show with the hotel. I am.
See, I don't think you could handle her in a hotel.
I don't know. I'd love to see what happened. I'm so curious about that.
I'd give him like 2 hours alone with her.
Yeah, it may end up with me running out like Aaron, like running out of the thing and running down the road. But I'd love to see what would happen. I do, because that
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, right, Kelly?
Okay, you say so. But anyway, Kelly will be back here with us Thursday, and I told you I have to cut the clips, which I'll probably do tonight and tomorrow. There's a lot, and I'm sure this was just an overall 3-hour investigation, general, but things happened during that time, and I don't know if we'll talk about it off the air about the other thing that happened on the couch. I don't know if you're comfortable.
Oh yeah, no,
about.
you can totally share that.
Okay,
totally.
Well, that's another side thing that happened that was so unrelated to what we were doing that was like mind blowing.
Yeah, that blew my mind too.
So Thursday night, 8:00, we'll be back here with Kelly, and we'll show you all the clips and the things that happened. And again, teaser, there's something that happened to me that was just, and you.
Oh, no, I wasn't there.
Say demonic activity. This is what I'm talking about.
A lot of people want you to say hello to Oscar. Just so
Oscar, he's right next to me.
Yes.
Do you want me to show him?
He is a favorite of a lot of people.
Yeah, he's another one that's like one of my favorites. And the fact that I was able to like go on Ancestry and like find a picture of him was just incredible. Oh. Here he is.
Yeah.
There's Oscar.
Oh, it's really cold actually, but
And the funny thing about that one, I don't remember all of them you know, because there's so many of them. But I remember the first time we worked with,
Oscar
it was really quiet,
didn't
nothing.
want to speak to us.
And then
He
the
had to get to
second
know
time he
us.
got to know us, and it was like, damn.
He formed a huge connection with Tanya.
Yeah.
That was like his person. And like you guys coming here was really interesting to see that, like almost like rekindling of those two. And yeah, I mean, he's another one that's, you know, just a good energy, protective energy. And I knew immediately from seeing him, even before Tanya was like, can you like take him home? I was like, I knew he was coming home with me.
Yeah, that was another one.
Did I expect to take home all the flood dolls with him? No,
Oh.
but you know, here we are.
That's the thing too. I mean, you know, some of the stuff, you know, it almost sounds fictional, like, you know, made up. But, you know, the reality of it is, you know, these objects are, you know, there's death involved. Like you said, those dolls. That's a really sad story.
Honestly, I think there's
You know
a
what I
lot
mean?
more haunted. I think there's a lot more haunted objects
Oh, me
out there than
too.
people think.
But
You go to an
I'm just,
antique store and you don't know.
oh, no,
You don't know what's connected to any of that, or you don't know what the story behind it is. I mean, you could go to an antique store and find something that you like and take it home, and it could have an attachment.
But that's what I'm talking about. Again, circling back to the protection thing. Potentially, objects like those dolls could have a lot of sadness attached to
Yeah.
them, and because of the way their life ended so young and tragically. And then, you know, just randomly of the objects that I remember, you know, like you know, the little girl shot on the roller skates, and you know, like some of this is really horrific.
The
you know?
violin.
And the violin too, and it's like you do have to, like you said, you have to protect yourself because you could be hit by such a wave of different anger and depression and you know, that it could really, like you said, buyer beware, man. You gotta kind of know the quote unquote risk involved. So, you know, if you're starting out, maybe get, you know, some little Tinkerbell spirit that, you know, some little old lady who loved the neighborhood.
But you don't know. You don't. It's, all right. It's you say
Don't
that.
go right for the demon.
Wait a minute. But you're saying Tinkerbell spirits. First of all, you have to be very careful. Everybody thinks a monster looks like a monster, and that's not the case. Tinkerbells don't always look like Tinkerbells.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying you can't just say people
negative.
like go out and buy. Kelly connects to it because of the feelings that she gets. Like she picks up from, and that's from experience. That's from, you guys are pagan. You practice your protections. You go into this with responsibility. I wouldn't tell any average Joe to go out there and collect haunted items.
Oh no, I wouldn't either.
You can't tell people not to either.
I wouldn't recommend it.
If they were curious, though, like, for example, a good one would be obviously the little boy Bones.
Mm-hmm.
I took him to Armand, and the story that I got off of that, it was a sad, depressing story for, you know, a little child. But the thing is he said that he is in spirit and he did move on, but he comes back because he wants to, and he's not in pain. He's not suffering. No. He's not unhappy. And I think that's something that you need to understand is, like, you can have a little child spirit that is in pain and is suffering, and that's not obviously fair or right to the spirit to be stuck suffering. So if somebody is going to start collecting objects, my advice to them would be make sure you do your research and know the full story before you take that object home. Make sure that you know the activity attached to it. Ask questions, you know, even possibly wait until it's investigated before you take it home, because you can kind of get an idea of what to expect and what kind of energy to expect in your house if you do want to take something like that home.
So what's is the goal here for you to have like your own Zach Baggins museum one day?
Oh, yeah.
Like a Warren museum, to have like a building full. Well, honestly, I'm not making a joke.
No, I actually, my next goal is I do want to buy a haunted house. And
oh Lord.
I do want to make like one whole room into kind of like a museum area with just all my stuff in it. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I have to stop eventually. Like, I'm out of room here. That's why I'm trying to buy.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is that like your goal? Is it to really like get, you know, a house of your own and like fill it with, like, you'll be a hoarder of haunted objects, you know?
I mean, I hope it doesn't get that bad. I feel like it probably will. Yeah, but that's the thing is I don't view them as oddities.
Right.
So, it's not like I call myself a haunted collector, but to me, it's like, it's not really a collection. I'm like,
No, I know. That's just a generic
So-
term that people relate to.
yeah, I know. What else do you call it? Oh, I take
Right.
care of dead people. Like that's, a little weird. But, yeah, like I said, I do want to buy a house. I want to like dedicate, like, ideally I would like to get a house that has like, like a loft shed area. And then I could put all of the things in the loft shed area. And then I can have the main house spirit free. But obviously that's just my dream.
Barbara said, we are searching. I'll tell you, you have the perfect mother. You should
Your mom
be
is
thankful
awesome.
for
I
that
know.
mother
Your
because
mom is awesome.
I know.
she's very
I know.
understanding and very
I know.
open to all of this, which is rare.
She loves Kelly, hands down, unconditional.
If my mom was taken over by a spirit, like you talked about, my mother would have been chasing me with a wooden spoon. Like, get that out of my house. No.
I think it would have been a metal pan.
Yeah, she was just like, just keep that thing away from me. I don't care where you put it, just get it away from me.
Now, having said, you have no haunted objects anywhere but in one specific space that you keep it contained.
Yeah, I used to keep 2 of them in my room, and one was the glass negative, and the only reason I took it out of my room is because it would not shut up. And I could not sleep. It was just constant whispering, and I would hear it all throughout the night. And I was like, all right, it's going downstairs. Like, I can't keep this in my room anymore.
You mentioned you have a cat. Does the cat ever freak out and run around?
Oh yeah,
like it sees stuff?
She's freaking out right now, actually.
You're in her chair.
Yeah, I'm in her chair. Yeah. No,
That
yeah.
cat, God knows what that cat is seeing all the time. You know what I mean? It must be like, holy crap. There's you know what I mean?
And
Yeah,
you
no,
say
she
your cat's
definitely
mean.
sees things that aren't there, and she's definitely reacted. It's never negative, and if I ever did bring something into this house that negatively tried to attack my cat, it would be out of here in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
For sure. But that's
All right, so we will be back on Thursday night with, again, this is part 2 of what we're talking about, where you're actually going to see the documented proof of what we captured around.
And now that you
certain
got the
objects
backstory
and
of Kelly and where she's coming from, now we can get right into the.
It's going to get weirder,
Yes.
people. It's going to get weirder. So we'll see you guys Thursday. Kelly, thank you. We'll see
No
you
problem.
then. And we'll be back Thursday night, 8 o'clock, guys. Have a good night.
Stay safe.
Thanks
be
for
well.
watching. Stay safe, be well. And
Bye,
yes,
everyone.
Kelly should hook a camera up in her house so we can see
I'll think
the
about it.
cat flying around the room and stuff like that. All right, guys, have a good night.
Night, Kelly.